Hey, I hope you are streaming every kind of love today because it's birthday. This is my second time recording this video, which is probably a good thing because that last recording got pretty deep. Um, Not that I don't want to get deep with my fans. I do, but some stuff is just for you. But this is a personal project, and so I am gonna share personal things. Um, but yes, it is every kind of love's third birthday, and so the number three is very significant for me. So I was like, it would be so wrong for this day to just come and go, and I don't upload anything to my platform. I know I am terrible about updating my platform. I'm barely on my YouTube. I'm barely on my Twitter. I'm mostly active on Instagram and TikTok. But even then, um, eh, I forgot what I was about to say. But yeah, I'm gonna do better. I'm not the best at self promotion, and I'm definitely not the best with like online promotion and things like that. But whether 1,000 people see this video or just one, I still want to commemorate this day. 3 years ago today, I released my project. So before I get into everything, hopefully I don't take too too long, but I do want to really spend some time um, just talking about my baby. So, but before I get into everything, I want to say thank you so much to any and everyone who has streamed this album at any point in time, either when it first came out or much later after that. If you streamed the whole album, if you streamed the whole album, top to bottom, I want to say I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you if you've streamed any of my music at all. Thank you. Um, I I'm not really good at like my stats either. Or there's like so many different numbers. Like I could look I could look at like my stream stats on Spotify. They're different from the ones that are on iTunes. They're different from the ones that are on DistroKid. Um, so I mean, I'm never like, I don't know like who's all listening. I know I've seen some other countries that have listened. Um, South Africa, Germany. Um, Thank you guys so much for the love. Thank you for streaming. Thank you for sharing my music if you have shared it. If you streamed my music, shared my music, bought my music, and if you supported me in any kind of way, I just want to say thank you. I want to get that out of the way before I start talking about this album. I had to move to a different area of my apartment because it is really loud. So if you hear some banging and stuff, there's construction happening. I'm trying to minimize it because the last time I did the video, it was just like so intrusive, and I was like, this is just too much. This is my album's birthday, and I have to give it better than that. So we moved to a different area to talk. Um, so I woke up this morning and I was thinking like, I was like, man, I should make a post because it is September 5th, and I did release this album, and I want to celebrate it and I want to promote it. And so I was grabbing some photos, and I was downloading some clips. I was like, okay, I'm gonna make a post, and I started to feel a certain kind of way because I can't go back to that time in my life. Like I can't like go through my Google Photos, go back to that time in my life without remembering the fact that I used to be married. And I wasn't feeling like bad or mad, but it really did get me in my head about like, this is such it's a like a sour spot in my album, right? Um, First off, let me just say I don't want to spend a lot of time on my marriage, but I do want to kind of like highlight the fact that I was working on this album as a married person, and um, I was. I had it the last time I recorded it, and my mind is it's just kind of like running away from me. But I was working on this album as a married person, and we were going through the motions, you know, in and out of love, infatuation, whatever. Um, the marriage was very like it was very much a flash in the pan type of marriage. Um, and it definitely had its difficulties, but the I at the time I'm like writing about all my experiences, right? There's paternal love mentioned in this album. There's platonic love mentioned in this album. There's romantic love mentioned in this album. There is self love mentioned. There's a lot of self love mentioned in this album. Um, Hence, there's lost love mentioned in this album. Hence the title, Every Kind of Love. So within each of the songs, there is some tone or like, there's something about a type of love, and in it. And so being a married person, kind of reflecting on my past relationships, reflecting on my um, all the types of relationships I've had, and writing songs about it. It was it was it was very interesting. It was very interesting because um, my spouse was supportive. He was supportive. Um, he posted like when I had released Fly High. Fly High was the first song that I had recorded, so I released it as a single. He promoted it just really great. Really great with that. I always thanked him, for like letting me go to the studio because again, I'm married, right? So I'd always ask like, hey, do we need money for anything specific? Like, is it okay if I book some studio time, And so I do want to give him his kudos as far as being very supportive in like my artistic journey. Um, but even outside of the marriage, like work was hard, things were tense, not just with marriage, like we were in and out of things, but even with other things like work, tense, things like that. So I was really writing and creating in a very um, difficult like type of patch of time. So this is a very interesting project, and a lot of the songs on there that are self-love were songs that I was writing for me. Like these were songs that I was like, okay, I need to push through, I need to pull through, and they were encouraging. And so there's a lot of that on this album, and I really love the fact that even though things were like not the best, I still was pushing through. Like and I do want to kind of go to the point of like back, kind of like, and I don't want my marriage to steal the show. But originally this album was a 15-track album. I had a interlude called Married Love, and one of the other tracks I actually said my husband's name. And so putting this album out as we were getting mad at each other and breaking up was very, very like, it was weird in a way, right? Like I'm like conflicted. I'm like, how am I writing? How am I, putting out this album and my marriage is going through like the toughest time? Like the song Loop De Loop was dedicated to him, but it was like that was the one song that took me forever to actually complete because we would be in a good space, I would write. We would be in a bad space, I would get writer's block. And it felt kind of like forcing the creation of that song. The concept of meeting someone that you feel so familiar with in a like from another life. I definitely wanted the song to have that. Um, and I wanted that experience. I wouldn't necessarily say that I felt that way about my spouse, but I wanted another love song, and basically I was like, I'm gonna dedicate this one to him, you know. But it was difficult just because of like how tense things were, and so I released it, and then I re-released it shortly after because we were like breaking up, and I was like, I don't want, like I don't want his name on my project. I don't want to immortalize him that way, and I definitely don't want to talk about married love when this is really not a good marriage, um, and I take responsibility for my part, and everything. Again, it was very much a flash in the pan, very quick type of ordeal. I just feel like things were just not where they should have been. Like, you'll never be enough. You'll never be good enough for the wrong person, right? I think that applies to both of us, right? Um, so it was kind of like one of those deals, and I've come to acceptance of that. But even going deeper and further on the concept of love, I struggled with it. I struggled with love. Um, I didn't have like the best like family unit growing up. We were very disconnected. We barely ate together. Very like just disconnected type of family. Even like my first girlfriend was like, what is so hard about saying that you love someone? And I'm like, we just don't do that here. Like we just don't do that here. But I felt like I was a loving person, right? I just needed to really learn throughout the circumstances that I was like growing up and growing through. And when I think about um, even like my vocation and what I feel called to do, um, I will never forget the day that I felt like I heard God's voice say, like, I want you to be a fountain of love for everyone. And I was like, no, like, that doesn't even make sense. I've had like the worst type of, relationships. Like, how could I be something that I don't know? How could I give something that I didn't have? Um, but there was something about me that made people feel special, made them feel heard, made them feel loved, and with my approach on how I, just in general. And I felt for a long time like, I felt like, how am I supposed to really show love? And I don't really get the type of love that I'm supposed to be showing. Like, even in my work life, I'm a social worker, and I was never the next social worker, right? I was that social worker that went above and beyond for my clients. I was the social worker that let my clients know, like, you matter. Your life matters. Your goals and your dreams matter. Like, that, there's something in me that tries to pull those things out of people, like try to get them to realize how amazing and how great they are. Not necessarily having that myself from someone, right? Like, I had to tell myself that I was amazing and I was great. I had to really work on my own self-love, to be the type of, you know, teacher, or social worker, or counselor that made a person feel seen and made them feel loved and heard. And so, going through this life with that vocation of every person I meet, I want to help them be better than how I found them. I don't know if I can honestly say that about my marriage per se. I would hope that I've had a positive impact, even though we just weren't right for each other. It just wasn't supposed to be. And it was very tumultuous. I would hope that on some level I did impact. I would never know, just because it didn't even end civilly. So, but anyway, not even staying on that. The concept of love itself was just something like I'm writing an album about love, and I am putting it out at a time where I'm having like not the best time in love, right? Not romantic love at least. And so that like paradox just kind of really messed with me for the longest ever. I didn't even really celebrate. I want to say I acknowledge every kind of love like on its first birthday. Last year I was recovering from, well, I was homeless, and I didn't have the strength or capability to be like, hey, go listen to my music. Like, I just was like, I don't even know if I'm gonna make it to the next day. It's really, I'm really happy that on year 3 I am here to connect with my fans and tell you guys the tale. And so I think that despite everything, right? Because you gotta take the good with the bad. Despite everything, this project has been super fun to like create in general, and to like and to have that. I want to say I want to thank myself. I want to thank myself for doing this project, because no matter what was going on in my marriage, no matter what was going on at work, whenever I would get into the studio and whenever me and Eddie would like connect and make this music, nothing mattered. No argument mattered. No BS said at work. Nothing mattered. I was in heaven. Like, I can write a song like that, right? I can write a song and come up with a melody. I can kind of structure a little bit of something on GarageBand, but at the end of the day, actually having these lyrics come to life and hearing the music like just be born it was heaven for me. I loved it. I loved every second in the studio. I loved every second reviewing everything, making changes. Like, this was my niche. This album was love itself for me. This was me loving on me. All the lyrics that you hear, even this song, In the Dark, these are things that I had to write for myself, right? Like, I listen to this project from time to time. I don't listen to my own music all the time, but from time to time I'll play the album, or I'll play some songs, and I would just kind of cry, just like, you know what I'm saying, like seeing where I was then and being where I am now. I'm like super, super grateful, and I feel like I'm about to cry now, but I feel like this project was my saving grace in like a weird time. COVID was happening. COVID was happening. I was actually just getting with my husband during COVID, but COVID was happening. I was writing it 21, I think the single came out in 21. I was doing most of the production during 21. This album really was something to like look forward to, like out of all the bullshit, out of everything. This was like, this is a testament of like the strength that I had, that I, now looking back on it, I'm just like, this album in its own way really saved my life. It really saved my life. Being misunderstood by people in general is gonna happen, but I don't ever feel misunderstood by music. I don't. And even if you listen to like Potential Beauty, my first EP, that's like my first baby, my firstborn. it it was just really telling me to like keep going, even though I didn't necessarily want to. When I wrote Force of Nature, I was in such a bad place, and that song just kind of really helped me uh, not give up on myself. And I, I was given up on by the same people that were, I guess, calling themselves giving me a chance. Um, I had like I wanted this was like one of the biggest rejections I've ever faced. When I wrote Force of Nature, I got this opportunity and I was so happy about it. I was so proud of myself. I even like flew to another country with this opportunity, and um, the fashion that I was disconnected from it, in the fashion, the way that I was like disconnected from it afterwards, really just it really did something to me. It really put a crimp in my style and in my walk. And and when I wrote Force of Nature, I wrote that it's almost like older me was like trying to rescue younger me. And and I'm so sorry about the banging, guys, but um but this album here, right, is, I felt like, definitely a step up from Potential Beauty, both vocally, lyrically, and production wise. Don't get me wrong, I will always be proud of Potential Beauty. That's my basement baby. Okay, I call it basement baby because we were in a little basement, like, but we were making that shit happen. Me and Matt Kerr was a 2-man band and we were making shit happen, okay? Um, and I will forever be proud of that project because it's so, those songs are just as important as the ones on Every Kind of Love. But we're celebrating EKL today. And so, yeah, this album I was able to do more vocally, more production wise. And I want every single project that I do to be much better than the last. I want to experiment more on the next project. I want to take more risks vocally. I do have a less is more kind of recording style. I'm the type of artist that's like, if I have like a good bass line, once I sing this live, I can really show out, so I don't do too much, but I will blow your mind if you see it live, if you hear me live. But yeah, I think even this song, Playing Void, this was like, this was about like losing love, and I think a close person in my life was losing the person, like they were going through their divorce first, in a way, I guess, and so yeah, I hadn't even truly lost my spouse when I was writing this. I mean, I kind of knew, yeah, but this was me, like connecting to my brother's experience, and it was me also pulling from my own experiences of how things didn't work out romantically with people and things like that. And so, but anyway, I don't want to talk too long, and I'm already almost up to 25 minutes. But I just want to say thank you for letting me share. Thank you so much for streaming Every Kind of Love. It's 3 years today. 3 years today. And this album, like, I told myself, I was like, if I never record again, at least I have this, and this, again, saving grace. And it really is a blessing. It really is a blessing, even to today. And so I could let memories or experiences kind of taint it for me, but I choose not to, because I know that at the end of the day, overall, I did this. I built this brick by brick, lyric by lyric. Um, and I'm so proud of myself. And and I'm so grateful to everybody who listened. So grateful to everyone who like bought it, everyone who shared it. And new music is coming. I promise you guys it is. In the next project, it is going to be more. Okay. Some people had like, you're always going to have a critic, right? Some people had kind of accused me of like toxic positivity in this album or whatever, but that's just who I am. I'm just a positive person. And I'm always gonna like see the silver lining, or I'm always gonna see a way out, or I'm always going to like, hey, we living in our truth, and we're gonna love it. But the next project is gonna be definitely different. It's gonna be a different vibe than EKL. We're addressing things like suicide and just, oh my gosh, purpose. Just so we're really. It's gonna be a beautiful project. I already know it. So it's almost done. We're still like cleaning everything up, bells and whistles, and trying to settle on artwork and things like that. But I will post again when it does come out. But until then, keep streaming every kind of love. And yeah. Peace, love, and light, and continue to work on your shadow.